Hi, everybody. I'm wearing different clothes, as you may see from the intro. That's really only because I thought I was going to be at a dentist appointment having a tooth out, but I managed to avoid that. So I'm back here with you today. So good news from that. No pain for me, and we can get straight into some coding. So I had pre-recorded something I'm now going to demonstrate live for us, which is just a little bit of a change up here. We're going to look at Python within the microbit, a lovely little computer device. In fact, I'll switch to my screen now to show you. The microbit is a wonderful little piece of electronics. Have a look at the images there. It's around about £15, I think, now. When you look at it online, you can go and buy them in multiple locations. And there's 30 of them being given to every primary school available. So Jersey schools are going to be getting loads of these. There's going to be loads of this happening. And it allows you to use drag and drop and Python. So we're going to have a look at the Python just to show you that the language that we've been using is in fact really useful across multiple areas. So not just coding and other, like specifically for games and programs, but actually for electronics and robotics, for example. And I love a bit of robotics. You can see here that you can stick the microbit into lots of different types of robotics. We can do 3D printing to make stuff. There's even handheld game design that you can do with their arcade, Make Arcade. And so my son actually has one of those little devices, loves it, and you can program your own little platform games really easily. So wonderful little device, like I said. So let's have a quick little look at it. So a little reminder about getting to this website, because I've added some links in here today that you'll need to keep going with this if you want to follow along with me as I go. So a reminder that you can just type in digital.edu.je to take you to this site. If there's problems with that, because it is a forwarding, because that's an easy domain to remember, but some computers don't like it when you click on forwards, where it forwards you to another address. You can see here at the top, it's really sites. Well, if you could zoom in a little bit more, it would say sites.google.com/digital.edu.je/coder. I'm not going to make you remember that, which is why we have this kind of little forward on. So if you don't, if you ever have a little problem and it doesn't let you, your computer says this is suspicious, you can go straight to the YouTube stream itself, and you can click on the link directly from it there. So that's just a little hint for anyone new coming here, how we get to this site, because it has lots of links that I will let you use so you can follow along with these sessions. So today I have Make Code and Microbit Python editor. I'm going to explain them all now. When you click on the Microbit Make Code editor, it takes you to this area here, and if you've used it before, there will be all your projects here. Here you can see I just did one test, or you can click new project, and I'll show you the difference between them. If you click the Microbit Python editor, it will take you to this Python version of the same thing. You can see the microbit here just in the top there, and I'm going to demonstrate some examples of it. So there's some pros and cons to using each of the editors. So the one where you just click Make Code and it looks like this, this one, you could click New Project, and by all means do this as you're going, or save it till later. And again, I've used Test already, so let's do Thinking as a Coder. There we go, and press create. You can give it any name you want. And this is the screen that you'll see. So I'll just zoom in a little bit on that. And you see the emulator, the representation of the microbit. So even if you've not got a physical device, and I knew I should have put one beside me, I was looking around for one now to see if there's, I know there's one on my desk over there. But if you don't have the physical device that's here, you can do your programming and see what happens. This is why I quite like the microbit, because we can play around with it without having to get the kit out, and then get the kit out, which is great fun as well. And it's just drag and drop. So where we do Hello World as the kind of first example for coding, what we do with physical devices is usually a program called Blink. So here we're going to go to Basic. I'm going to go Show Icon, which is a heart, and I'm going to drag that in there, and it sees the heart. There we go, that's it. That's all I've done. On Start, heart. Now, if I did Basic again and showed a bespoke amount of kind of pixels here, which is 5 by 5. So I drag this in. This is an empty screen. So it's going to go heart and then blank. There we go. And that's it. The difference is if I drag this now to forever, and you see it drags all your code in, it will now loop that round forever. Okay, and there we go. We've got a flashing heart, or a blink, as we might call it. And if I wanted to do this as a beating heart, then maybe I would just click. It's not going to be the greatest heart in the world. Here we go, probably terrible. So here we've got kind of like blinking heart, pretty bad one, to be honest. Let's have a look. Can we make that better? Probably not. It's a hard thing to do with the amount of pixels that we have, but I think that's slightly better than what I had before. Or maybe, because I think I've got this round, maybe if I just do all this, that's going to be the same one that I've got there, just with the middle one missing. Maybe I can take out the middle parts. There we go, like a see-through heart to a full heart. Yeah, so it's up to you, right? Graphics design, depends what you want to do for this. But that's the blink. Now, that's not a perfect blink, because the only reason we're seeing flashing here is because the computer's a bit too slow to catch up. This code would mean that it should flick between those things almost instantly, and we may not even see what's going on. It's so fast. So just to make sure that when we go to faster devices, that we definitely get that wait in the middle, we click basic, we go to pause here, and we might drag a pause in the middle here. And 100 milliseconds is a tenth of a second. 1,000 milliseconds is a whole second. And then I might right click and duplicate that now. There we go. So I've now got a pause, a heart, pause, heart. It loops around. And if I did a very long 500 and 500 here, that would be a much slower blink going forward. There we go, much slower. So we can play around with that. So that was quite easy to use in a drag and drop environment. But as these programs get longer and bigger and more complex, this can be quite tricky to follow. And when you have repetitive things like robotics, where you have turn left, turn right, turn back, go back, go forward, go faster, go slower, a lot of repetitive type activities, which is movement, you have to keep dragging each time from the left to the right, or duplicating each bit individually, which can be a bit of a pain. However, you'll see at the top here, if we go from blocks, you may well see JavaScript there when you first look at it, which is another type of web coding language, or you can click Python at the top here and see what that code looks like here. And we have things, the heart one's dead easy. It's a little bit trickier when you do bespoke diagrams here. So if I go back to the blocks and remove this, you see here that it tries to remove everything below it. I didn't want all of it. And we delete in microbit by dragging off to the side and pressing delete there. If I'd have used another shape, another heart, and then put my pause back, nothing will happen because it's just the same thing. I could have used a different icon here. Oh, there you go. It's got a smaller heart already in it to save me a bit of time. So when we do that, and we get this blinking heart here, and I have a look at the Python language now, that looks a lot simpler because it's not got the bespoke drawing inside with all those bits and bobs. So we can see here that we've got different ideas, and that's good because we can now copy and paste much more easily in the code than in the blocks, which doesn't allow us to do that. We have to keep dragging, and it can be quite time consuming. So when we get to this in microbits and in encoding, typing it out becomes faster. Drag and drop is great to get to know how to do things here, but when we're actually trying to build code and complex things, we have to start moving to text at some point when we're making things. So this is an example of how to do this, and it's good as well because I can drag this out and delete everything and start from scratch here, blank screen. And I can go, instead of, if I can go forever again or on start. So I'm going to go forever. And then I can do loops as well. And then I've got my while true, while false, or different ideas that I've got going on, or for loops as I've got going on here. We like these things. Or we've got logic where we've got if else, all these kind of things. And I do like this. I don't think you really need these two, because if you have a look at this one, which just has if, and then we have this one, which is if and else, watch what happens if I just bring in this one and I click the plus. It does me an else anyway, which is useful. So I just drag in the ifs. And if I want another option in here and click the plus again, it'll give me my else if that we've seen in previous videos for this. So I like this because it helps build it up. And when you go to the Python, it puts everything nicely spaced out. So maybe while you're beginning with code, we can flick between these two items and play around and start to use that as a way of helping out. Hello, Fred, and hello, everybody that's listening here as well. Welcome. So I do like this microbit editor. And like I said, you can get to there from the digital.edu.je website and click on Make Code for this simple editor that I quite like here. But it can get quite complicated and it becomes quite hard to find things sometimes. It's a lovely place to get started, but we're here to think as a coder, and drag and drop is nice, very Scratch-like activity here, but we want to be able to do things that are pure code, Python. One last thing I'm going to show you before we move on to that is the different input methods we can have. So we can have forever and on start, so programs that just happen straight away, or we can go to input and we can have on button presses. So these are buttons on this little microbit device. And we also have on the version 2, this is a button at the top here, and we can also press these pins as well. So there's lots of different things that we can do. We can do shaking, we can have temperature, we can even do for the version 2, which has a microphone and a speaker on it, as well as some other items. We've got on loud, so here's loud noises. We've got on logo press, lots of different activities, as well as shaking. It's got a little gyroscope in it as well, which is nice, accelerometer to be more precise. Has Bluetooth in it, has temperature sensor, has light sensor, has a compass, has all these pins. It's a wonderful, wonderful device. So let's have a look now at the more complicated version of this. And I use that in inverted commas because I actually think with a handle of Python, it makes more sense and is easier to work with. But you can use both here. Now, the Python that you see here, I don't think is perfect, and it's not the greatest. So when we go to the microbit Python editor, by clicking on this link or by going to python.microbit.org. That's how you get there, python.microbit.org, or just clicking on the Python link here. It'll take you to this more complicated looking Python editor. And this is a relatively new version of this. And it's really nice because it's got this bit on the side which helps us to drag in blocks of code. And it starts off with a bit here. Now, I like this because, well, first of all, I'm going to give it a title, just test for now. And it's got the proper commenting here at the top. So imports go at the top. We know this now. And one of the imports that it does automatically, which for the make code part, we don't see, which is why I don't not like it. It's just not as technical, not as good for us, is we import the microbit library. So from microbit, import everything. That's what the star means. We want everything that we can do. Now, the difference here, which again, is I prefer to the forever loop here, because when we came in and we had forever, which was down the side here, it's suddenly gone a little bit skew-whiff as I've zoomed in here. Let's see if I zoom out and that will make it go a little bit better. I'll go to blocks here. There we go. Let's go to Python. There we are. So if I go to forever and drag that in, what we end up having here in Python is this define on forever. Now, that's not good. It makes sense when you may be in primary school and you want to do forever here. But what we really want in Python coding, which the Python editor does, and I will zoom in on this so we can see it a little bit more easily. In fact, I might make this slightly bigger again so I can maybe see this twice as big. There we go. I can see all the words now. What we have here is code in a while true loop repeats forever. That's really what we should be doing. We should have been doing while true. That's what really a forever loop is. It's a bit more grown up with our coding languages here. So we really want to be using it and not that forever thing that we saw here. That's not a great thing to do. So while true, that's just very standard true. We can have while false or while true. This one says display dot show heart sleep 1000 scroll. Let's just get rid of that for the moment. And when I press play, and I've got nothing happening here because I had my last piece of code here. There's nothing, there's no syntax. It's saying while true, it's expecting something wrong there. When we did the, if I just undo that and press play, it's got the heart, sleep, and then scroll hello, as it does here in the top corner. But we don't have to know that that's how you show a heart. We use the bit on the left-hand side, and we can go to display, and there we go, look, show heart there. And if I drag that in, this is what I like about it. Look, it's put it in the right place. Look at those indents. Because it saw the while true, if I drag it up, it just does that. But when I drag it down here, it puts it in the indent perfectly, which I really like. And if I press play here, heart and then sleep, but it's repeating over and over. So this is fairly pointless. Whereas if I then dragged in, not heart, I'm going to drop down list here and say, go to happy straight afterwards. It's changed that code and I can drag it in again. Now I could leave a space if I want to, but I don't have to here. And this should be my kind of blink. And it said 400 here because it's a little bit faster, this code here. This more true to life. So that's why we need our longer numbers. So if I do that to 800 and 800 and press play, there we go, a little bit of a slower blink. And, you know, what are the other things that I can do here? Well, look, I've got all of these different areas here that I can just choose different ones. Or, and this is what I like about the Python editor, if I delete happy and then go to the image and press dot, you will see that it starts to suggest to me everything that it can do, which I really like. There's loads more stuff here. I mean, let's see what a clock 12 looks like. Yeah, like a 12 o'clocker. So actually, let's do this now. I can get rid of that. Maybe I could drag. So this is where the copy and paste comes in, right? Copy, paste, enter, paste, enter, paste, enter, paste, enter, paste, enter, paste. Do that. In fact, what I'm going to do now is reduce this to 400. Should have done that before the countdown. And this is going to be way quicker. If I'd have done that in the drag and drop editor, I'd be going through and having to click all over the place. And instead of having to click and drag lots of things here, I reckon I could just do 11. There you go, because that's an idea here. I could do 10. I could do, it's pretty annoying actually, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6. There we go. It was just annoying because it was trying to suggest to me. 7, 8. There we go, that's right. And 9. I did count ahead it right enough. And now when I press play, look at that, it's going around backwards. So I could really wanted to reverse that. So I really like this because it's quicker to use than the drag and drop once you kind of get a handle on it. So I do like this. But like I said, you can play around with the blocks editor here, but if I'd have done this input or basic and drag this in here, it didn't have that as an option, the clock one. So the Python editor actually gives you more things that you can do, more options, more complexity. So that's why I'm really pushing you towards this one. Now I didn't have to use while true. I could have cut that all out, in fact cut all of that out, and I could have just displayed up here straight away, display happy, and that's kind of the on start because it's just going through the code and doing it one after another. I could instead of happy, do sad, drag that in afterwards. It's not repeating, it's not looping, it's just doing it one then the next. That's it, and it's waiting for my next command. So a very, very useful tool. I really like it. I think it's really, really nice. So let's have a look at the other things that we can do with this. Some other, now we know what we're doing, we can have a look at some of the things that we've been looking at over the past few weeks. So one of the things I'm going to have a little look at is a countdown. So before I loop, which I will do in a moment, I'm going to set some variables. So some things to start us off with. And I'm going to call something a countdown. Okay. And my countdown is going to equal 5. I'm going to count down from 5. Okay. Now, looking at the clock one that I've done there, I might actually look at that in a minute, but I'm going to look at a more mathematical one. I'm not going to use a loop here, actually. So I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just going to start it off in this way. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the reference library here because that's what it's ready to do. So I'm in the reference library and I can then go to my loops here and just click on it and say, oh, okay, it's got some things. It's got the while true there, which is useful. It's got some other examples, while condition, while a number is less than another number, do this. I like that. But I'm just going to use the for I in range, the things that we've been using before, and I'm going to drag this in. Now, at the moment, it's saying I've got this countdown 5, but then I haven't referenced it in the moment. Let's just see what this does. It just says for I in range, display scroll microbit, display scroll Python. So it's going microbit slowly. Then it's doing microbit, all right, because it's ranging round. It's going looping round 3 times microbit. And then at the end, it's going to say Python. So we've got the microbit, then we've got the third microbit, and then we should have Python afterwards. That makes sense. Let's have a look. The T's coming up now, and there's the Python. Had I indented this, it would do, let's have a look, microbit. Let's see if you can guess what it's going to say after microbit. Is it going to be microbit again 3 times? Let's see. Or it's going to be Python. So it's going to loop round and say microbit, Python, microbit, Python, microbit, Python for those 3 times. Okay. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to get rid of those. I don't necessarily want them. I can go up to the top here and press enter because that indents for me. Or I could have just deleted up until that point. There we go. If you prefer it that way, doesn't really matter how you got there as long as you get there. And the next bit here now is I'm going to say display, because I know that it was display, and I've got this clue, so I can click on that now. I can press dot, and then it's got some options here for me, and I want it to scroll. And what do I want it to say? Well, I could use speech marks, and I don't have to use the double speech marks. I can use the single ones. It's up to you. I prefer the doubles. I just think it really stands out when I'm doing my code, but there's no particular reason why you have to. And I could do the number 5, and then I could do the number 4 and 3. Then I could do that. Or I could say, because it's not text, I could use the variable that I've just created. And look, it's remembering it there, countdown. So I can click on that so I don't spell things wrong. And that's that variable that I made. Now, if I press play here, it's going to go 5, 5, 5. That's 3 times. And that's it. Because all I said was for I in range 3 times display countdown, which is 5. So the first thing I'm probably going to want to do is do 5. And then it'll do it 5 times. It will still only do the 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5 times. I wanted it to do 1 less. So every time that it displays countdown, and I'm going to do this in different ways, and we're going to get to the best and tidiest option at the end. I'm definitely doing some wrong things at the moment, or not necessarily wrong, but not the most efficient, not the best way. Not all code has to be perfect, but we try and get there. So for I in range 5, display dot scroll countdown. And if you forget, you can go and you can press display and it will show you the text that you need. And you can see here that we've been getting there. That's the one I'm really using, display dot show. And then I've done a variable in here that I've counted. And we can go back to the loops, anything we can do. So use this reference guide when you need it. After I've done 5 once, I want the countdown value countdown to equal countdown, which means countdown currently equals 5. I want it to equal 5 minus 1. So it's going to display the countdown, which is the number 5 right now. Then I want to replace the word count, or the variable countdown, with the same number but 1 less. Let's see what happens here. 5, 4, this is looking promising. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Okay, now we'll talk about maybe adding a 0 or something else at the end there now. But let's have a look at how we can tidy this up. And I'm wondering, and I'm going to stall a little bit while I put maybe the end part down on this. I want you to think if there's any things you could see here to make this better. There's a couple of things I would do to make it better. And while I'm waiting for the 15, 20 seconds and for people to maybe type in the comments if you want to have a go, I will do something else. I will press enter, but press backspace now. So this is outside of the loop. Once it's done doing the loop, I would love it to display a happy, as in go, or a tick or something like that. So I'm just going to do a happy, and I'm going to drag that in. And I don't necessarily need to sleep. I just want it to display happy. So while we're going here, 5, 4, 3, and then 2, 1, and then there we go. So that keeps it outside of the loop. Okay, so there's a couple of tidy ups I might do. Feel free to comment if you want to see what you want, how you would do this. The first one is, I've said for I in range 5. Well, I only said 5 because I have a countdown of 5. If I wanted to do a 10 and count down from 10 this time, or in fact 9, because it takes ages to scroll across, I would then change this to 9 again. Well, that seems like a waste. What I really want to do here is say for I in range 9, I don't, for I in range countdown. I want it to be whatever number that is. So if I change this to 3 and press play, it'll be 3, 2, 1, and then it will do that. There we go. Nice and easy. So very easy. And if I change that to 2, it'll just for speed. 2, 1. There we go. Now you might not like that it scrolls across. Okay, I'm going to go back to 5 here. Maybe I just want to display, and let's see if this will work. Display countdown. Maybe we're just playing around there. Doesn't like the code, okay? Because when we look at the display references here, we get scroll or dot show. So those are the differences that we have. So here now, if I come back to this and I replace it, you'll see here, it's gone really, really fast. Why is it just doing the happy sign? I'm just not sure why it says. It looks like it's right. Show countdown. Countdown equals countdown. Any ideas in the comments why? I'm pressing refresh. I'm pressing stop. Pressing play again. It's just showing the heart. Wonder why that might be. There we go. Look, I told you before, the sleeps are used to put a gap in the middle. Without the sleep, it was basically going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 as fast as the computer can process it, which is faster than we can see. So we needed to have a sleep in here to at least get us. And this will help us because when we did the display and we had the other options and we do the dot and it shows it, the scroll takes a long time. Now, the problem if you've got a countdown timer here is how long does that scroll take? And if I scroll from 100 now, that scroll for 100 takes longer than the 99. So I'm not really doing a good timed countdown. It depends on how long the scroll takes. Whereas if I'd done show rather than scroll and then press play, again, it's gone. It was nearly there. It's trying to go real fast, and all I'm seeing here is the other numbers on the outside. It's going those are the 90s, the 20s. It's all over the shop because it's going too fast. If I did sleep and then did 100, maybe it would still go fast, but I wouldn't see the hundreds there, the 99. These are the 90s. We're not seeing because we haven't got the text on the side just here. So that's why scroll is good if you've got more than one character. But if we were counting down from 9, we would have seen those go 987. Look how fast that 100 is. So if I go to 400 and press play, that's a bit better. Or if I do 5, that's half a second for each one. So if I really want a good timer, I want the full 1000 milliseconds, which is a second going through that. 9, 8, 7, 6. So scroll is useful if you need more information because the micro bit is limited here of what we could do. There's 2 more things that I think I could make a little bit better here. The first is I think people like the 0. You might like the go straight away with that one. But if I wanted the 0 at the end, then what I would do is count down +1. So instead of, it will start at 9 as a countdown, but it will allow me 10 numbers. So 1 number, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 0 is the 10th number, and then it goes. So that's up to you. Whether you like the 0 or you don't like the 0, you can make those choices. And the last thing is this. Countdown equals countdown -1. It is such a useful thing to do in computing, to add and subtract by 1 or regular numbers, that there's a special thing that you can do here instead of that. And it saves us typing this longer version out. There is nothing wrong with this version. It is just not the quickest way to do it. And again, I'll stall for maybe 15 seconds if anyone knows in the comments what I might replace the equals with if I want to go down by 1 each time. And it's the opposite if I want to add 1 each time. So, I know I've got a 15-second gap here. So as I'm sipping my usual can of Coke that I have a think in the chat what that might be. Okay. So think about it. We've done countdown equals, and then we've said a statement. What we could have done is delete this out and simply do -=1. Okay, and that's all that means. The minus equals just means the same as it was before, but go down 1. Okay, so go down the same as it was before by 1. If I do that, I've got my countdown. Much quicker way of doing that. In fact, if I wanted to count down in 2s, I could have done that. You can see here, I've got my odd numbers now. And this is really useful for when we're doing scores, because we can go the other way. We can do +=1, and we can go up, but we won't see much here because it's going to go 10, 11, 12. We're trying to do our numbers here, and it's not working out very nicely because I'm going up. But this is useful, and here I would do, instead of the show, I would do the scroll because I want to see the numbers. And this way I've got my 9, then I'll have my 10, and it will keep going 9 times here. Okay, if we did while true, we would keep going on forever. Okay, so useful things to look at. If I'd have done +=-1, let's see what would happen here. There we go. It's another way of counting down by 1. Some people just do += all the time and either say -1 or +1. It's up to them. Or just the number 1 when you're plussing it. But you can specifically say minus if you want to do it. I must admit, I am one of these people. I like to always do the +=, and I like to say whether it's minus or plus, because I like to do the same code for games. And I do the +=, And if it's adding to the score, I'll just say 100 points, 100 points, 100 points. But if you like get hit or something like that, it's like minus 100 points. I don't like to flick between the plus equals and the minus equals. I just like to use that with some negative or positive numbers. So we've seen there in what is quite a simple countdown procedure, how we can be a little bit more tidy, how we can do things, and how we can program a physical device. So let's have a look at one that you might like, which is something I remember when I was teaching and it used to get cold in school. I don't know if you've ever done that quite recently. And there's always this argument about how cold does it have to get before you have to go home, for example. Well, this little device has, you can actually buy, if I do microbit strap, you can actually buy devices so that, or little, this is like a little, we call them hats. And you can see here, there's a device where it mounts onto the wrist or the ankle or the arm. And I think this one's easier. The batteries go in there and then the micro bit goes on top. There's lots of these little things that you can buy from different locations. And people make their own with these things. Step counters, lots of different ideas here. So maybe, you know, you're at school and you're not allowed a phone out. So you've got your program device. I'm obviously making this up just to have a look at something we can do. So again, we can do python.microbit.org and go straight to the original site. And now I'm going to have go home in the Untitled project, home time calculator. So we're going to keep an eye on the temperature. So I'm going to get rid of things here because I just make sure that I import everything. And I'm going to have a look at my ideas, my reference. We've also got, like I said, an ideas area here where you can have a look at step counters, send a smile, have a look at the code and the steps that you can go through to do this. I really like this. Open it up and go one at a time. Please have a go at this when this session's over. And I'm just going to come back here now and go back to the reference material and look at temperature. It's got a light level, it's got temperature, and it's just called temperature. So if you wanted to just scroll the temperature when you started up the device, there you go. Right now it says 21 degrees because at the bottom here, just where my head is, I'm just going to move it to the side slightly here, you can scroll the temperature and change that to replicate what it would be in real life because you don't have a real device here. If you had a real device, it would show you that temperature. So I'm going to scroll it back up to 19, press refresh, and on start, it does that. So I don't want to do that though. I'm going to have a constant piece of logic, and I'm going to have an if statement to go out to see what that might look like here. And I've got some different examples here, logical operators. While this one looks more like I want it, while, if, all these kind of things. So even if it's not the way you want it, you can drag something in just to give you, I'm going to get rid of all of this, just to give you the while, true, and if. Okay, now you'll hopefully get to the point where you'll just know to write that, right? You'll just come straight in and just go while, and you can see there it was suggesting to you as I type, and you can press enter at any point. And then when I do the true, there we go, while true. And you press the colon, press enter, if. Now, if the temperature, there you go. See, I'm starting to type it in and it's suggesting to me. I love these kind of suggestion tools. So I'm just going to press enter. And it even puts the brackets round for you, which I think is really, really useful. So if the temperature, whatever that might be, so I'm coming out of there, is greater than 16, because that's apparently the kind of law, 16-ish degrees, apparently, your classroom has to be. So if the temperature's there, don't forget your colon here, and it drops down because of that. Then I'm going to display, and you can use the reference to drag this up, but I'm getting used to this now, and I'm going to do dot show, press enter, and maybe you're sad that you want to do that. So to do this one, we do have to tell it that you want a predefined image rather than a text. So I start off with image and then just go down to it, press enter, and then a dot because it's suggesting it for me, and all the things. Maybe let's just go for angry. You've got an angry face because you're having to be at school. Who knows? It's a lovely place to be. I used to be a teacher. It's fine. We're there to help you. I'm sure I disagree with now. The comments may go wild now. So if it's that, then do that. Show angry. So at the moment it is over. It's 19 degrees there. So I have got an angry, apparently that's an angry face. If I press enter, it is saying, what else do you want to do? I'm maybe going to, maybe I'll improve this in a minute. For now, I'm going to go back and just say, well, if it's not greater than 16, else, and then use the colon again, press enter. And I want to display, press enter. I've always got my finger now, my little finger hovering over that enter key. Display dot show. There we go. And I've got image dot, and it's just, I'm not even remembering. I'm using all these things, and maybe I'll try H for happy, and it comes down to all the things that begin with H. Go to happy. Okay. Now press play. It's an angry face because it's 19 degrees. As soon as it drops under that, it's a happy face. You're going home. Way, there we go. So maybe though, I want to show beforehand, maybe I wanted to display dot scroll because the temperature may go over one character here. So I want to scroll and I want the variable temperature. Okay. Now you'll see it's got the double brackets in there because the display needs to be within a pair of brackets here and the temperature needs a pair there. So if I press play though, it's just going to, well, it will do scroll because it takes time to scroll. If you did show, you would need that pause in the middle. So it's scrolling the concept here, then it's showing angry instantaneously. Remember how fast the computer works. If things aren't turning up, it's then because I've got to come in here and do a sleep for maybe 400 while we do that. So it's 26 degrees according to my emulator, then the sad face. But it didn't really show my anger for long enough. I'm going to go for the full, maybe 2 seconds this time, 2000, and press play. So you can keep an eye on what that temperature is doing constantly. Okay, so if it starts to come down, and you can do these things. Now you could also display the happy. You would have to do a sleep because I'm about to do something else. And then maybe if you're on the version 2, when I come to the reference material here, let's see what else we have. Scroll down and down and down and down and down. We have sounds. So we could, and we'd need to import music at the top here. So I'm going to be interested to see what happens here. And I'm going to scroll across, drag in you can see what happened there. Look, right at the top of the screen where it says import here, where it says microbit import, watch there and watch down here when I drag that in. It automatically adds the library at the top there, import music. Great, thank you. And it put the ding in there. Now, let's see what else there is. And I'm going to do that by pressing the dot here, by doing all these things, jump up, jump down, play, power up. There's so many things here that you can do, as well as other images that you can load in. And maybe I want Nyan cat thing here. There we go. There we are. Nyan. There we are. So we've got these different ideas. Let's see if I can do my computer loud enough so it might play this. So I'm going to reduce it down. Nyan cat. Don't know how loud that's just come through your screen there as you've done that, but whether or not this microphone actually picked it up, it's very good. So I'd have to hear that back to see it. See if let me know in the comments if you actually heard the Nyan cat or not. Otherwise, I'll have to display it in a different way next time, recording the screen or the MacBook. If it was really loud, maybe that just woke you up at the end of this session. So we've seen here that we can use the microbit drag and drop while we're getting used to things and having a look at the Python. But I actually think if you wanted to get into it, start using this Python editor. It's really good. We can do things like the loops that we've just done there. We can display other items that we've done, happy, sad for temperatures, loops, all the things. I encourage people to have a look through here and look through the ideas and the instructions. So if you want to send a smile to another one or make a dice emulator, maybe you do dice games and you can't, some of your games have more than 6-sided dice and you can never find one. Well, this emulator, we can open it up and it says this will replace my project now. And it's loading the dice simulator up. There it is. From microbit import everything. Also import the random. We know that from our previous. While true, gesture shake. So this is a gesture based one. So nothing happens here. And I can emulate here in this kind of menu the shake when I press this button here. And then it does a 6. Then it does a 1. Then it does a 6. So I could change that to maybe a 100-sided dice. But see here how it says show? When I press the shake, that may be 26, there you go, or 49. Maybe that's harder to see. Maybe I want a scroll, which is why I like to use this editor, because you can mix and match stuff much more easily. And I think there we go. We've got a 95 there on the dice roll. So have a play. I really like this. If you'd like me to do more Python through microbit, let me know in the comments here. Otherwise, I'll have a look at some other stuff. But I really like the microbit. I think it's a really fun device to play around with because you can make physical devices and robotics. In fact, you can see down here, if I come back into the screen here, this is a robotic device that I have where you can put the microbit into this slot that happens here. And these are things that I would like to do in person with people and to go to different people's schools to do that. So feel free to tell your teacher when you get back that Mr. Steele from Digital Jersey is absolutely fine coming in and showing people how to use microbits, especially if your school already has some. Or I've got a few that I can bring in as well for maybe a quick session at lunchtime or something like that. So feel free to ask your school if you'd like to do something like that, or put in the comments whether that's something you'd like me to follow up with. I have got this random idea of maybe making a magazine, like a digital magazine, where I can send people this tech through the post. Obviously, that wouldn't be free, maybe, unless I can find a sponsor out there to do that. And we could send tech and build stuff live like this. And I've got cameras that I can point down to my desk here and build things. And maybe we can make this a monthly kind of drop that you get with an extension. I think that would be a great thing to do. But again, let me know in the comments and make sure you like and make sure you subscribe as well as always to get going with that. So like I said, we usually take this to about 45 minutes, which is today. So hopefully you've enjoyed this slight change of pace. Again, do put in those comments if you want me to see more of stuff like this. And as I said last time, I'm going to start to put together a program where you can test yourself on the knowledge that we've learned with a few other bits and bobs that we still have to get through. But we should be able, for the end of this next term, be able to send some people away and take the online exam we have to arrange with your schools. If people want to do that as a qualification before the end of the year. So we'll do some demo tests to see if you're ready for it. And then if you are, why not get that Thinking as a Coder British Computer Society Level 2 qualification. So see you next week and hope you've had a good session. Bye for now.